Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another live webinar from Seat Academy. I'm Melissa. I'd like to introduce our panel today. We've got some exciting news. Fourth Industrial Revolution. When somebody mentioned this to me last year, I was like, oh, what the heck is that? And working with Seat Academy, I realized, okay, so it's actually technology. So what exactly does technology mean in the world for our students today? So on our panel, we've got Kirsten Fourie, who is our IT manager with Seat Academy, Claire Euster, which is the academic director. We've got John Paul over there, who is the coding tutor at Seat Academy, as well as a web developer. And then we've got Xholiswa. She is a programmer / web developer, and Zoe, which is our animator. To be honest with you, when I heard Zoe was an animator, I thought to myself, what does an animator do? I don't know if any of you guys have thought that, or at least, is it actually a job? So maybe Zoe can start us off today by explaining to how she got involved with animation.
Basically, it's the animation industry is so vast. There's so many things that you can do. But basically, I do 2D animation, which is basically the cartoons that you see you kids watching. That's what I do. But if I could pinpoint where it all started, I would say it started with drawing. As a kid, I started drawing, going into high school, making my own book covers, and then after high school, I applied to study 2D animation at college. And when I made my first character walk across the screen, oh, it was the best feeling ever. I just had to become an animator. I strive to do it. And yeah, that's how I started. And then I applied to go to animation school, which is like the school you go to study further into 3D animation. Got accepted, but I couldn't stay long because it was expensive. But anyway, that door closed, another door opened, and I went to go study in China, multimedia. And that's where I learned so many other things. I learned 3D modeling, a bit of 3D animation, game design, some virtual reality things, came back. And then, yeah, I found a job as an animator, kind of my dream job, teaching kids some things in animation. It's basically what I do. Yeah.
Awesome. So you know what? I actually didn't know that there was something like an animation school. So that is new. Where was that?
It was in town, somewhere in town. I didn't actually have to go to the place because, yeah, I had I had an online meeting with the school. But yeah, it's in town.
Wow.
People from different places in, let's say Durban, Johannesburg, they come to Cape Town to study animation here in the animation school.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Okay, so I'm actually got something in my throat at this moment because I'm like thinking to myself, animation, I normally thought you're just playing, you're like a kid, never growing up type of thing. But what you've been through at the moment is quite wow. And the fact that there's actually a school that you can attend, that is amazing. Um, let's go over to Xholiswa. Xholiswa, you are a programmer, web developer. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes. So I am a web developer. And I started out. I didn't always want to be a web developer. I had no idea what programming or coding was, and I remember my little brother was the one who asked me if I knew anything about it because he had started his research on it. Because when he was doing his matric, he was already starting to he was ready, and so he asked me about it, and he recommended a school. So I went there just out of curiosity, and then it was a IT varsity. It was also here in Durban, in town. I guess town colleges are pretty good. It was in town. It's IT varsity. It's now 100% online, but back then it was an actual school. So we went there and we did our research there. And then once I started out there, it was incredible because we started from like a whole blank page and we started to create a website which had like images and content and everything. I was just blown out of my mind. And then from then on, I was like, I don't want to do anything else. This is all I want to do for the rest of my life. And now I am a full stack developer basically, and I do back end and front end development. Back end is basically like the the back of and functionality of the apps and websites that we build, and then the front end is basically how it looks. So I do both. I mean, my heart is in front end completely, but it is better to do both just for your own like possibilities in the industry. But yeah, I feel like coding is basically just problem solving basically, because we make everything better by actually doing things on the web, because we're always on our phones switching in between apps and websites. So yeah, I really love my job.
Awesome stuff. And Xholiswa, if I can just ask you, was it specific subjects that you had to choose in order to do that? Because I heard you mentioned that you just went to the college and then you started. So was there any requirements for that?
So getting into development is different. I wouldn't say there were any specific subjects that I did that helped me to get into the college. So for example, with the like getting into university, there has to be certain subjects that you have done. You have to definitely have done maths and sometimes computers, but it's not necessary. As long as you do have good grades and you actually are eligible to do a degree or diploma, that's for university level. And then there's also getting into online tutorials, which is much easier if you are actually a person that is able to learn online. There are plenty courses on Udemy, for example, and there's also boot camps, which are everywhere. Well, they're online or actual like boot camps. Like for example, there's Higher Parent Development, that's a boot camp, and also Code Academy. Code Academy is also a great one. I mean, it's everywhere. They're in Durban, Cape Town, and also in Johannesburg. And for those, you don't even have to have matric to get in there, because it's like, I feel like it's more of the skill that you have, because you also develop your problem solving skills and everything else. So yeah, there's no specific subject that you have to do, but you just have to be a problem solver basically, and willing to learn.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. Claire, could I ask you just to introduce our next two speakers?
Absolutely, and with my pleasure. Thank you, Melissa. So we have at the bottom JP, who is, well, we call him JP, but his name is actually John Paul. It's just JP for us as a family at Tutor Academy. JP not only helps manage our IT researching in the background as to apps and software to use, he also happens to be our coding tutor at the moment for a lot of our students. JP, if you can just go ahead and introduce yourself, tell a little bit about what you do in the background as well as the coding classes, and where you see us going further with the fourth industrial revolution in mind and coding.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Claire. Wow, feels like y'all are actually pretty close to me. Okay, let's go ahead. As you can hear by my personality, I'm like super enthusiastic, and I actually apply this energy and stuff to coding as well. So like Xholiswa, I'm also a web developer as well. Also went through basically similar avenues to where she, to what she did. Also full stack, learned full stack as well. Heart's also in the front end. So some similarities between us. Heart's also in the front end. But more specifically, what I do at Seats, this year we've taught the kids web development in the front end, of course, because it's kids, when you want to learn anything, like when you play with Lego as a child, that's like front end. You see what's happening. You actually building with the blocks and stuff like that. And if you were a kid like me, Lego was a big deal. So it's the same thing. The front end is also a big deal for me. The back end would be obviously how the Lego blocks are designed and before they get pushed out or something like that. If I can just talk in layman's terms. So we taught the kids that, and the response that we've got from the children at the academy for people that have done coding maybe in the past, in their own spare time, and also kids doing it for the first time, children have really responded well to us introducing coding as a subject here at Seat Academy, which is wonderful for us as a team and as an academy. And so what I did was I actually did some research, because myself and probably Xholiswa as well, and any other coder or programmer out there, we learnt outside of school. You know, we finished school and then we went to a separate school for coding, and you know, kind of got molded and reshaped, you know, after school. So we already grown up when we learned it. So learning it as a kid, you know, the benefits of that, there's actually I've got about like 5 benefits as of why it's beneficial to have children from a young age learn coding. First of all, we must actually just realize that coding is another language. All right. Coding is another language. And if you hit like a drop down arrow, there's a list of the specific languages that come with coding. Okay. I'll mention just 3 of web development: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They are all languages. So just like English, you know, if I can just maybe explain it like this, I'm not the best in English, but there's 2 types of sentence structure in English called active and passive voice, where the active voice has subject and then the verb somewhere in the middle, and then the object's at the end. And passive is just the object is in front and the subject's at the end, so they switch places. So we don't realize that we talk like that all the time. So speaking is one thing, writing it's another thing, you know. So writing code and speaking code sometimes, you know, can get a little bit like intricate, but as a coder or as a developer or whatever you want to call it, all the terms all mean the same thing. You got to be able to speak it and you got to be able to write it. So if your child can speak English and Afrikaans and JavaScript, they can speak 3 languages and they can write 3 languages. So it's a language. So that's one benefit. So they've learned another language. Coding also develops or fosters creativity. Okay. Again, back to the Lego example. If you give a child a box of Lego, come back within 20 minutes to half an hour, they would have created something from literally nothing almost, or just a bunch of, or pile what they may look as this is a big mess. All right. So you actually get to see how their mind works. And believe it or not, when I first stepped into coding school, one of the first things they asked me to do was program and somebody into picking up or lighting a match. All right. So that's exactly how coding or programming works. You know, you're giving an instruction specifically to get a certain outcome, you know. So working with that, it does foster creativity in a child. And I don't know about you, but the younger a child is, the more creative they are. All right, for some strange reason, you know, like when I was 6 years old or 4 years old, I could do a lot with Lego, more than what I can do now for some reason. But it fosters creativity, and when creativity is fostered, obviously their problem solving skills gets enhanced. And to build on that, my third point, coding also helps children with math skills. Okay, one of the first things that my coding school asked, how was my maths mark? They wanted to see my maths mark because maths is a problem-solving subject. All right, teaches you how to think critically, as well as that's what coding is: critically thinking about how we're going to solve a problem, how we're going to get this desired output that we have in our minds. All right, and just using the blocks, again, the pile of Lego example, using that and putting it together to get a desired outcome. So it helps with maths as well. So I definitely also started understanding maths a bit more, even on a higher level at university level, because of the coding that I was learning. Coding also improves writing academic performance. Okay, so even it spills over into your other subjects as well, because you're writing in a certain way, you're thinking in a certain way. So you will obviously get to your point maybe a little bit quicker. The way you write will be a little bit more professional, a little bit more creative. And over time, it will develop into they'll develop into great writers eventually without them even realizing it. And my last point, just to end off for the fourth industrial revolution, is the one that we've mentioned before. is that coding definitely helps children, people be confident problem solvers. All right, they will approach a problem a bit more confidently. They won't be shy to share their ideas, and definitely that's what the world goes through. We have problems, we need problem solvers, and this is a subject that definitely is going to program their brains, our brains, which are computers, to actually think a certain way and actually give a desired output. So we've seen that in the classes, or I've seen that in the classes. Kids coming to me 9 o'clock at night, sir, I did this, but this is not working. Can you maybe come and show me how this is working? I'm like, oh wow, it's 9 o'clock at night. What is that? Yeah, But it's so nice that they are actually coming and actually being enthusiastic and showing that that hunger and desire has now been birthed in this generation. So that's a great response, and I'm excited to see what the future holds once we officially add it to as a curriculum subject here at the academy. I'm excited to see the projects that get pushed out, what the kids actually give back, and see how that looks, and just to see how creative they can be, because I'm pretty sure even myself, I will probably learn a thing or two. Because coding, last thing, and then I'm gonna hand it over, is that with coding you never stop learning. You never really stop learning. I'm sure my coding sister there, Xholiswa, will admit is that we still need to sometimes use YouTube to solve a problem, because we don't know everything. We don't know everything. We know a lot, but we don't know everything, so we still need to use YouTube to try and solve a problem. I still myself take a course at least once a year, just to kind of make sure I'm still up to date with everything, just as an extra thing. That's a personal thing for me. So just shows you this subject, it's a lifelong learning subject. You can never learn it all. It's a lifelong learning subject. New languages are birthed probably on a yearly basis, if not in a quarterly basis of a year. So you got to keep up with the time. So if any person, parent listening to this webinar, who's got their kid with them and they prepare to learn for life, this is your subject. This is your career. Okay. But that's all from me, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate that.
Thank you, JP. Appreciate that a lot. And I think one of the key aspects here to remember with the fourth industrial revolution that is upon us now is everything to do with technology, as Melissa was saying. But I think it also has to do with, it's not any more of when a child leaves a school that you will become a doctor, you will become a lawyer, you will become a teacher, things like that. I think this revolution that we're in now is creating a space for students to create their own path in the future, because a lot of kids don't know. There's animation available. They can take those quirky little cartoons that they've been drawing and Googling and actually make a career out of it. And it's something they're passionate about. Don't just become an accountant to make money. There's actually a future in doing the things you want to do. Like Xholiswa, who is a web developer and designer, that's something you're passionate about, right? Am I correct? Yeah, you see. So
Yes,
who
definitely.
knew years ago that you could be a web developer? Those categories didn't exist before. Now they are existing. Who knew that you can make a career out of coding? And actually, whether you're a coding tutor or doing coding for a company, it's a big thing, actually. So there's a lot of avenues opening for the kids of today to make their own path in future with what they're passionate about. So with that, because I'm going to ask more questions to the rest of the panel in a minute, we have a question from a parent. Is it compulsory for a child to do coding? Kirsten, if you could answer that question for me, and then I'm going to hand over to Kirsten anyway, who is our, the stuff that Kirsten does for Seat Academy in the background. She is administrator, but man, she is the brainchild. There's not a day that goes by that I'm like, Kirsten, I actually, as a grown-up, need help. And what she's managed to teach me, even from working with her every day, in even connecting my WhatsApp to my computer every day so that I can be synced You know, it's little things like this that we don't know, but man, she's made my life so much easier. So over to you, Kirsten, our IT manager and head of administration for Seed Academy.
Okay, hi. Just to answer your question, coding is considered a compulsory subject, but the difference to the other subject that we have, it's not an examinable subject at this stage. So your child will attend one class a week, from grade 2 to 9, one class a week. But it's not on the report, but it's just to help them find if it's their passion, find if it's something they enjoy, and to help prepare them for the world they are entering. Because even if you're just starting your own business one day, you can create your own website. You can have your own online store. It opens up so many possibilities for the world that they are entering. Everything, as we go into the future, things are going to be more and more online. Online retail is going to be a bigger thing. Businesses are going to advertise online more. Facebook, it's already taking over. So it will just help them and to think, to see, they can see if it's something they want to do. Yeah.
Thank you, Kirsten. Sorry, I'm just going to help you along there because I asked the question and then introduced you. Sorry. So thank you for that. And that's 100% correct because I don't go to the shops anymore. If I'm looking for something, I research online. I'm already going and pricing plastic table, for example, at Game or Macro online. If they don't have an online profile, I'm like, I'll go find somewhere else. Thank you very much. Buy and sell, marketplace on Facebook. I'll go find secondhand if I have to for cheaper. Even pharmacies are going online now as well. So it's just the world has changed to what we used to do by going to shops to the now visible virtual reality of online stores. So coding, great benefit. Doesn't matter what your child decides to do after school. It is a great asset to have learned coding at school. Right, Kirsten, if you could go ahead and tell us a bit about your IT and the things that you do behind the scenes for Seed Academy and a bit about your opinion of the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay, I think I already covered a lot about my opinion of the fourth industrial revolution. It is the future. It is where a lot of jobs are going to be, where a lot of people are going to find their career, their passion, if you come to it. As far as Seed Academy goes, we are online. Everything we do, everything that makes up Seed Academy online. Even our staff, most of us work remotely. You know, we're not in an office every day working together. We're in our different homes. We're able to meet. We meet online. We chat through WhatsApp. We use Google Meet. Google Meet is our platform for all the classes. It's where our students will meet with the tutor, but the tutor will engage with the student. All our communications happen through WhatsApp. We have groups for all the grade, again, online. Google Classrooms, where all the work is uploaded, assessments are done, everything's done through online, to Google Meet of apps, because this is where the future is going to be. And in today's society, with COVID, with the schools being full, online is basically unlimited. You can do anything. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. You can be sitting in a flat in Cape Town and you can take a virtual tour somewhere in London. It's quite possible. There is no end to what can be done to the imagination. If you just have the imagination to find it, the coder can put it in place, it can happen.
That's so true. Thank you for that, Kirsten. And I totally agree with you. I mean, last year I went house hunting. It was during COVID. And, you know, we're not allowed to get out of your house or go visit. And you actually had these virtual tours, you know. I mean, like, really, who would have thought that you can actually view a home? I mean, shopping online, pick and pay, checkers, clicks, you name it. You know, you just click, you log in. But that type of things, it takes people like web developers, like coders that can put all these things into place. And, you know, we don't really understand what it goes hand in hand with actually developing something like that. But I can't even imagine. Sorry, I can't. I'm good at maths, but when I come to picturing what needs to go here and this needs to go there and this color goes there and that color, and it's like, no, I'm totally out of it. But my question I have to the panelist over here is, what does the future hold for our students at the moment? I mean, with everything being online at the moment, I mean, education has already changed. University lessons has changed, that it's online. I mean, what do you guys foresee with technology going? Is it going to expand even more? I mean, is it really something that's going to just blow up in everybody's faces? Would you encourage students to actually go into coding and programming and like Zoe in animation, still a child at heart. So maybe JP, you should speak to Zoe to get that creative juices going there that you are missing out from your 4-year-old days.
I think I should. Yeah, knowing me, I probably will. I probably will. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of maybe just adding to the encouragement part, that yes, definitely. I think the three of us at the bottom here, myself, Xholiswa, and Zoe, we would encourage to have young people maybe think about doing this as a career, a lifelong career, or a passionate career, a fun career, to be honest. I think if you enjoy problem solving, if you enjoy building and being proud of what you've built, and and you really just enjoy taking something that from nothing and building something, you can be proud of that, then yes, go for it. Definitely immerse yourself. Wow, that's such a nice word. Immerse yourself in the industry, and just it'll take you by surprise. It'll take you by storm. I never ever pictured my life being here right now. For me, I was on a finance, commerce career path. I thought that I had to do finance and all that kind of stuff, But then now going into web development, I realized, hey, I actually can still work in my finance passion. Because you can still do a language called Python. And Python, there's Python for finance that exists. So if you still, so maybe you can't be a what's the word, an investment banker or a something like that, but you can still code and work in a finance company. So you're kind of getting two of one. Being an animator or being someone that works with video editing or creating cartoons or something like that. That's a very rewarding, fun, and passionate career. So I'm gonna say to all the kids out there, definitely think about it. Definitely consider, think about it, and give it a lot of thought. And immerse. Go try it out. Go try it out, because we'll be here. We'll show you what we know, and guarantee you, I don't think you'd want to leave this program. I don't think you want to leave.
Thank you for that, JP. Zoe, as from the animation point of view, have you got any final words for our students out there? It looks like Zoe's freezing.
If I have to say something as an animator, animation is not spoken enough as a career. I didn't know I could do animation after high school. I just thought it was gonna be like a hobby or something. But I went into it and I figured out how to reach to people, to help people through animation. It is a choice. You don't have to, like we said, you don't have to do accounting, you don't have to be a doctor. I mean, you can still follow your passion as an artist, going into animation, helping people, teaching. It can reach children to just teach them how to count, how to do any of those things. It's amazing what you can do with animation. You can make people just learn things, reach to them, teach them models, all those things. Yeah, so final words, definitely look into animation.
Thank you for that. So I just have a quick question that I just kind of just came to me now. Animation is quite new in a career choice, obviously. Obviously, when you think about China and those kind of countries, it's wow, that's what they do. How do you find it being in South Africa, though? Or even Cape Town, for that matter, because that's where you are.
It's in Cape Town. There are a lot of opportunities to become an animator. However, there are so many people going into the animation industry. I don't know. It's somehow it's not spoken enough to the youth, but the old people, they know much more about the animation. So it's really a gap of how did so many people go into animation yet the youth doesn't know much about it. You have to kind of explain to them. And if you compare it to let's say when I was in China, everyone knew animation. Child knew it was a career choice. Even adults knew it was a career choice. So I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, the gap that we're currently having at the moment. Yeah. Okay. No, understandable. No, that's why I'm asking, because I mean, personally, from my point of view, that is what I noticed when I found it. Oh wow, we've got an animator. What is that type of thing? But anyway, Xholiswa, any last words from your side?
I'd just like to second JP and Zoe that the industry that we're in is quite fruitful, and excuse the chickens, and it is quite fruitful. And I've realized that like being in technology is not actually completely about technology, that it's also about us, like as people, because we're the ones that actually make technology. We define it because we use it, and we use it to also solve our problems, not the other way around. And as long as we're alive and there's humans, technology will continue to advance and continue to meet our needs, and we're the ones who are going to be the ones who are going to enhance it and everything. And one thing I've realized about being in this industry is that it's very easy to branch out into different things. For example, being an animator, like Zoe can now branch out into any other technology field that she wants to. She can now go into AI or like the Internet of Things, and also into development and being a programmer. It's that easy. Once you're in, it's very easy to just branch out and learn those different things. And yeah, it's just that's like JP was saying, that it's a lifelong learning. And I mean, you can't get bored when you're in this industry. You cannot. I mean, you can't afford to.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate your feedback. Guys, I think we've basically covered everything that we needed to discuss. And picking up from this particular topic, because I love the discussion that we had, and also the fact that, there was the involvement with maths, having to do maths and understanding maths. And it quite kind of like just lines up with preparation to exams happening, and the following week we've got a talk on the maths, the physics and stuff like that. So it's quite amazing. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this week. Thank you, Claire, Zoe, Xholiswa, JP, and Kirsten. Everybody, cheers. See you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.